The SEC files a motion to delay the case with XRP. As we know, the SEC has been at battle with XRP for over 2 years now, right? Allegations of selling securities, unregistered securities, if you will. Today, we're going to take a look at the case again and understand what is going on. Is the SEC really trying to protect you from XRP or Ripple? Let's put it that way. Let's jump right into it.
The ribblings
Yes, sir.
of XRP.
The rumblings of XRP.
Woo!
Double O.
Champion.
As we know, XRP and the SEC, or Ripple and the SEC, have been at battle for multiple years now, right? And it seems that XRP seems to be winning the situation from everything we read.
Yeah.
However, at this point in time, if we look at this article here, it's saying that the SEC has filed, or SEC files motion to delay case. These are the dates. I'm just going to read one paragraph here and we're going to take a deep dive. What I would like for us to do is to just kind of go back and look at what this case is about, because it seems that there's a lot of back and forth. And maybe for those who are not keeping up, at least like myself, I've not been keeping up very heavily. It would be nice to take a refresher on what happened and what the XRP army is fighting for here. So as Bitcoinist reported, the number of supporters for Ripple Labs in its legal battle against the SEC has been steadily increasing, following 11 entities that are already sent an amicus to the court. Apparently, amicus means a friend of the court, right? So they're sending in a little note saying that, hey, we support XRP, or we think that this is the path, whatever the case might be. They sent this amicus to the court, and another one has been received by Judge Annalisa Torres with the amicus letter from Very DAO. Is that Very DAO? Is that no? That's I was thinking of Veritas.
No, it's not Veritas, man.
Exactly.
It's not our boy Reggie.
no, he's not. He's coming for them in a different way. I guess after XRP wins, they can go give him the earnings from the winnings, I guess.
Yeah,
But the US Securities and Exchange Commission seems to have felt increasingly pressured by this. A document filed a few hours ago indicates that the regulator has filed a motion to extend all deadlines. It's like you're punching them in the field. You're in there. You're hitting them with the jabs and they're like, wait, hold up. Time out.
Move the goalpost.
Exactly. But what is this case all about? Right. I just want to read this excerpt here before we jump into this thing. When XRP was founded, its founders created 100 billion XRP.
That's a lot of
let's
shares.
take it from the beginning. And 80 billion of this was transferred to the company, which would be Ripple, I guess, while the remaining 20 billion XRPs were gifted to its founders. Right. And so the founders are, I think one of them is named Larson. So one of them receives 9 billion XRP of the 20 billion. And then they started selling the other XRP that is available.
Yeah.
Collecting profits, making profits of over, I think it was 600 million since the beginning of this situation. And at this point, the SEC goes, hey, this is unregistered securities.
You're a company at this point.
You're a company. There's clearly CEOs. You've created this
shares and
this
distribution,
instrument.
capitalization.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You've created this instrument and you're selling it to the people. And these guys go, well, this thing does not have a contract, if you will. What are your thoughts on that? Because it sounds to me like it's securities to a certain extent.
So I've spent some time in the startup world.
Yes.
I had a similar situation. I still have a similar situation going on with my co-founding an airline, Green Africa in Nigeria. Here's the fact: when you start a business, you're allowed to say, my company is worth X amount of dollars. This is my market cap, and this is the amount of shares of that company that gets to go out.
Absolutely.
But the question is, when you now allot a huge amount of that money to the company, and the founders, and then you now sell to the public. That is automatically a company. I don't care what kind of crypto, altcoin, whatever technology or innovation you bring into the world. That is the definition of a company that needs to be registered by the SEC. The SEC say they have authority over anything that it's based on that, right?
Yeah.
Even if you go to Nigeria and you do that, it's called CAC. You got to go to the CAC and register the company. And then you have to register the amount of shares that you're giving out. Now, 100 billion shares for XRP technology, is it really worth several $billion when you've not proved the implementation of that technology? Yeah, you can say you've proved it because people were already using it at that point.
Yeah, but because you've proved it, I don't think that it is operating at at that valuation.
$1 billion valuation.
Right? Because
$100 billion
you've made
valuation.
they've made $600 million in profit from this since 2013, and this is still ongoing.
Yep.
People are still buying XRP.
Yep.
Right. And carry on.
Yep. Yeah. So but to what you're saying though, I think what the SEC is trying to do is that there's got to be a process if you are in the altcoin or crypto space that if you're going to be releasing your NFTs, your XRP, as long as the SEC is there, you are responsible because it's a company. Really, it's a technology. Yeah, great. But you have founders, you have CEO. But what allows you to say that you can release 100 billion shares? Just like you have a lot of altcoins that have literally zero limit in cap size.
Right.
The SEC cannot allow that. That means you're just going to create a big bubble in the markets. Everybody will leave Nasdaq and SPY or whatever it is, Russell 3000, whatever, and they will all jump to crypto because, hey, guess what? I can create my company with zero cap.
Yes.
And I can just increase the size of my company anyhow.
This is the same thing that what's this guy Bankman-Fried of FTX. I mean, he openly admitted this on a podcast.
On the interview that I did the other day.
This audio is out there everywhere, right? You just create a bunch of. I just want to like roll it back a bit and just break it down.
Can I say something before you break it down real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Their argument is that if the Federal Reserves can go limitless in creating currencies, they can do it too as well as a company. So now banks are not banks, but companies are trying to go from proof of work to proof of stake, which is, hey, we're a company. As long as we still exist and we're still creating value, we can increase our valuation.
You know, they say two lefts don't make a right. Actually, it might. But hold up.
Negative times negative is positive.
Yeah. Two wrongs don't make a right. That's what I was looking for. Two wrongs to no cheese. I need to slap myself for that.
There goes the Riska driver.
No, wrong button. I should punch myself for that one. That was Well, here's the thing. Two wrongs do not make a right. I agree with them. And here's the tricky thing, because I think that they're playing this game of jumping in between right and wrong.
Yeah.
The Federal Reserve printing money is wrong. It does not mean you should go start printing money.
Mm-hmm.
If you ask me, it means you should hop on the Bitcoin standard. Mm-hmm. Right? One of the other defenses they use is just this idea, and I'm going to break this down after this. They say they only sold less than 1% of the XRP, and it has no effect. But then you could also think maybe that's why you created over 100 billion of them in the first place, because now you can make over $600 million in profit and still be under 1%, right? They also say that there is no contract or investment contract from this thing, clearly and openly, which makes me wonder, why are people buying it and why are people fighting for this? If these guys are clearly telling you that this is not an investment contract, it's a currency, which means you should not expect any returns from it. And now this is where I'm going to break it down. We have, let's say we have STAKK. We have 100 shares of STAKK, right?
Why 100? Come on now. Give us a million,
No, I just
a billion.
want to keep the numbers. I want to keep the numbers low because it's about simplicity. I think the goal is for anyone who wants to understand this to understand it. But we have 100 shares of STAKK, right? And you take 20 shares, I take 20 shares. At this point in time, in the way this is supposed to work, we now have these 80 shares, which we should be able to give to investors.
60 at this point, if we both take 20.
Sorry, 60, which we have to now give to investors, right? And the investors will take on these shares based on us showing them what our product is, the
Capability,
market,
service, products.
and the capabilities of it. If they like what it is and they think that it's going to, show some returns in the future, then they will invest in it and they own those shares of the company.
That's the contract. Yeah.
If we did the same thing and we did not tell the investors that anything, or we just show them what we wanted them to see, and they're investing in the company, but they're not really holding the shares. So you have some shares, I have some shares, then we put the rest of the shares as STAKK. And then when people buy shares of STAKK, we sell those shares of STAKK and keep the money for ourselves. Then we tell the SEC that this is not an investment, it's a currency.
Divide the technology from the company itself.
Exactly. There is a shady line there. And I think people need to realize that, because if they win this situation, right, and everyone starts going, okay, XRP is going to $5, right? They all start going, the price is running up. What stops these guys from just continuously selling and taking all of your money? So I think this is why things like this need to be looked at. I get it. Like, the SEC should not just be trying to get a win and try to force themselves upon the crypto space. But at the same time, I think the people within the crypto space should have a bit more, I don't want to say integrity, but they should be a bit more serious about how they deliver these things. Because I don't think XRP winning this thing is going to be exactly great for society.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Go ahead.
My concern is that it's funny that ex-bankers or current bankers are the ones running quickly into the crypto space to implement the schemes that they've been implementing in the banking space now in the crypto space. And if you look at history, those guys coming out of Stanford, Harvard, whatever you want to call it, they care about how much money they bank and how big that yacht is going to be. Not about you, the people. You are just the pawn in the equation. Right? It's a business. They've put a lot of money aside. You are just the one buying. They get to sell at the back end. Whereas you just hope you don't want to, what do you call it? Get caught holding the bag.
Yeah, you want to get caught holding the bag, yeah.
Or be the pig that's going there to get slaughtered because you're buying it at the top.
That has already happened.
A lot of people are still holding on. I mean, you already sold yours. I'm still holding on to mine. I didn't sell it at the top. Yeah. But the reality is that we really need to start thinking that, hey, wait a second, it's not my business. Of course, I want XRP to be successful so I can finally sell my crypto. Yeah. But the technology, we already know, yes, some banks have adapted it. It's a blockchain. It does what it does. That is different. Separate the technology from the business model. The business model is the question that people are trying to say. That the business model, the SEC, CFTC, whoever else wants to be in charge of this, needs to say, we need to fix these business models in the altcoin space so that we don't screw up the entire market. Yes, we know that crypto is going to take over the stock market eventually because it's basically a lot more efficient. It's much faster. But we need to put a standard around it. You can't just 100 billion, even if it's at 0.01 cents. 100 billion at 0.01 cents, is that what you're trying to argue? Like, that's the valuation? There's got to be some regulations around that.
Yeah. It's something that a lot of people participate in, and a lot of people get wrecked. Because I know people, and when you read articles about this all the time, they always ask, what does this mean if the SEC is allowed to enforce this? And I get that part, but we also have to look at the other side. What does this mean if XRP wins? Because to an extent, if it almost seems like, yes, if XRP wins, then it's open season for rock pooling.
Rock pooling, one person becomes a trillionaire and you think your little $100 or $500 that you put in that's going to make you a millionaire. $1,200,000 compared to somebody making $1 trillion having 10 yachts. I mean, I'm not trying to say you should be jealous of the creators of the business. What I'm just trying to say is that your supposed gain is much of a bigger loss for everybody else if the space becomes this so-called decentralized the way they want it.
Yeah. Well,
it's not even centralized at the end of the day.
It's also interesting that they use the word decentralized as a way to define what it is. These people said this thing operates the same as Bitcoin. Wow. I mean, there has to be some intellectual dishonesty. I mean, there is intellectual dishonesty going on there. This is not Bitcoin. Okay, this thing is 100% centralized. It's still controlled by these people. You
Boom.
cannot sell me shares and you're still holding the shares.
Yep.
Nobody's running Bitcoin.
Yep.
You know, everyone can run it. You can go mine some Bitcoin. Okay,
Yep.
you can run a node, whatever you want to do.
Mhm.
But if I buy Bitcoins and a bunch of people decide to start dumping the Bitcoins, that's fine. But it's not two people deciding that, hey, let them buy and we'll dump the Bitcoins now.
Yep.
You know, so the SEC is definitely pushing back, pushing back some dates here. I think they have the deadline for submitting public redacted reply briefs is to be postponed from November 21st to December 5th. All right. Opposition to omnibus motions are to be extended from December 22nd to January 9th, and so on and so forth. You also have the SEC is also requesting that all additional amicus briefs are due to be filed by November 11th, 2022. It's difficult to even pick sides on something like this, man, because it's two shady people. Because yeah, if the SEC was always doing your job right, they'll have a leg to stand on.
They don't have the resources too, by the way. You know that, right?
They don't have the resources.
Well, I mean, the Biden just gave them a lot more money so they can pay more attention to all this kind of stuff. But I still think they're still trying to build a team.
Resources, bro. They take what they want. It's
True.
Dude, man, you're looking at a bunch of shady people who have carried themselves in a very dirty way for a very long time, and now you're trying to enforce the rules on another dirty group. You're not holier than thou, so it's just whatever happens, man.
Yeah.
But I think that if we're going to be in an environment where people can actually safely invest in these things, I think this has to be a bit more serious than this. This is clown stuff, man. It's absolute clown stuff. So, final thoughts, double up.
As always, if you've not liked, subscribe, do it now. That's what we're here for.
sir.
We go in the interweb to look for information, knowledge, and share with you guys. Follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We'll do Spotify once in a while. Leave a comment. You want to get on the show and ask us some questions? Get in a big conversation, argument, bring it on. We're here for that.
I like that.
Yes,
Until next time,
sir.
ladies and gentlemen. Brazen out.
Double O.